The Magic Sword. Rosemary Hayes, illustrated by Ian Newsham. It was the day of the class trip. Class 8 visited a castle. Everyone got on the bus. Some moms and dads came to help too. "Where's your teacher?" Karen's mom asked. "We've got a different teacher today," said Karen. "He's called Mr. Mulch." Karen pointed to a man at the back of the bus. At last they arrived at the castle. Karen, Andrew, Samantha, Christopher and Salim were in Mr. Mulch's group. "This way, children," said Mr. Mulch. Mr. Mulch walked fast and the children ran after him. "Follow me," he said. And he went in the castle. They came to a very big room. There were some old chairs and a long table. There was a big sword over the fireplace. Salim tried to get the sword. "Don't touch that sword," shouted Mr. Mulch. But it was too late. The sword fell to the ground. "Whoops," said Salim. Mr. Mulch waved the sword. Suddenly he changed. His eyes flashed and his hair stood on end. He jumped onto the table. "Gadsy bar," he shouted and pointed the sword at a suit of armor. Clank, clank, clank. The armor moved. "Look," whispered Christopher. "There's a man inside." "He's scary," said Andrew. "I don't like him." "He's Sir Thomas Blackguard a knight," said Mr. Mulch. Then Mr. Mulch pointed his sword at the tapestry on the suddenly, a ghost horse jumped from the tapestry into the room. "And this," said Mr. Mulch, "is Sir Thomas's horse." Samantha tried to pat the horse. But she flew up in the air. Then she came down onto the horse's back. Mr. Mulch pointed the sword into a dark corner. "And this," he said, "is Sir Thomas's wife, Lady Blackguard." The air went cold. A woman appeared. The children hid behind the table. "Oh, no," said Christopher. "She hasn't got a head." "Yes, she has," said Salim. "Look! It's under her arm." The face looked sad. "Poor Lady Blackguard," Mr. Mulch said. "Sir Thomas cut off her head." Lady Blackguard walked through the horse, through the table and through the door. Karen pointed at the armor. "Sir Thomas was horrible," she said. "Yes," said Mr. Mulch. "He loved to cut off people's heads or throw them into dungeons." Suddenly Andrew and Christopher jumped out in front of Sir Thomas. Crash! Sir Thomas fell to the ground. Sir Thomas was very angry. He got Andrew under one arm and Christopher under the other arm and walked out of the room. He went outside. Christopher and Andrew saw a big black hole in the ground. "Mr. Mulch," cried Karen. "It's a dungeon." "Oh. Oh, dear," said Mr. Mulch. Suddenly there was a whoosh. Mr. Mulch flew through the air. He picked up Sir Thomas with the sword. Sir Thomas dropped Andrew and Christopher. Sir Thomas fell into the hole. There was a roar. Then there was silence. Now there was no sword and no horse and no hole. "Let's go home," said Mr. Mulch. They got on the bus. Karen's mum said, "That teacher is very quiet." Karen looked at Mr. Mulch with his book. He looked at Karen and winked.